Hello, everyone. Welcome to the wrestling podcast that is Beyond the Ropes. It's Kieran Keogh here with you, the Keoghster, and I'm bringing to you here on Mixcloud. And I've got a special guest with me today for Beyond the Ropes, and this is Kyle Martin. Welcome to the show, Kyle.
Thanks for having me, Kieran.
We're going to discuss a lot of topics in the wrestling business, in the professional wrestling world, including the Royal Rumble. Recent Royal Rumble was on a couple of weeks ago. Also, the road to Fastlane. And now, of course, we are on the road to WrestleMania. Thoughts on WrestleMania? Some of the potential card. Kyle, have you been watching wrestling this last few weeks? Getting ready?
Yeah, I've been watching it and I've been enjoying it big time.
Aye.
It's really starting to pick up now, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah. It's pretty cool. A lot of interesting storylines developing there going into WrestleMania 31.
31 already.
I imagine, yeah. Definitely is. I think things are looking good as far as the recent podcasts by Stone Cold Steve Austin were very good, weren't they?
Yep, they were brilliant.
Uh,
I've watched the both of them and they've been both really good, very insightful.
Indeed, yeah. Very, very insightful. You've recently subscribed to the WWE Network. What's your thoughts on the network so far?
I think it's a very good product and it should be doing a lot better than what it is.
Aye.
But I think it shows the majority age group in WWE now. As you know, a lot of the stuff on the network is old stuff.
It is, yeah.
And I think a lot of the fans of the WWE nowadays are kids that can't relate to a lot of the old stuff.
I agree completely, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's why it's not doing just as well as they thought it would.
Aye. Recently hit the 1 million mark with the
Yep.
Subscribers. Well, they weren't expecting that. The third, they do the quarters thing in America. They have the quarter. It's do it everywhere, but you always hear about them having this. The second and third quarter wasn't very good with the consumership of it.
Yeah.
But they got results in for the fourth quarter, and they discovered that they'd hit the million, which is pretty big for.
Yeah, it was a big milestone for it, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was indeed. Yeah. Um, did you watch the Vince McMahon podcast, the one with Stone Cold and Vince McMahon?
I did, yes.
Yeah. What did you take anything from that as a longtime fan? Did you like get a good insight into what they were talking about?
In some ways, yes, and in other ways, I don't know. It's always hard when Vince McMahon's involved. You don't know whether to love him or hate him.
That's true. His on-screen personality has really come through. He's such a passionate kind of a character.
Yeah,
It really, you wonder, is it real or is
yeah,
and with a lot of wrestling, there's a lot of reality mixed in with realism kind of mixed in with the product. So it's kind of
yeah. And there seems to be a lot more now. And as I say, this is the new reality era.
that's it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and well, we've got a lot of storylines concerning the Stinger. Sting has started to get involved in WWE for the first time ever. Like 20 years ago, he was the top star in WCW,
Yeah.
and now he's, and he looks great as well for someone that's in the fifties now too. And it's great. He is actually coming into WWE now, and I think he has a good 4 or 5 matches in him. But they're talking about him having one match in WWE.
I would like to see him have more than one match, maybe having a few feuds while he's here,
Yeah,
because let's face it, none of us ever thought we'd see him in a
yeah,
WWE ring,
that's true. Yeah.
and I'm glad he has finally came over.
Mhm.
He's one of the greatest.
He is.
There's
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone out there could honestly say they don't like Sting.
Mm. He was interviewed a lot by TNA when he was in TNA for about 7 or 8 years there, and he said the only reason he never went to WWF WWE at the time of the buyout in 2001, the only reason he didn't really go was because he felt that he was going to be misused by Vince McMahon, and they were going to treat him like they treated Booker T at the start, and the way they treated DDP and people like that.
Yeah, well, it seemed when any big stars that came over from WCW had to work
Mm.
their way up again from the bottom.
Yeah.
And of course, if you remember when Booker T came over, they had a storyline where he first met The Rock, and The Rock supposedly didn't even know who he was.
Mm.
I'm sure a lot of wrestlers out there would have found that very disrespectful.
Absolutely. I think Booker T's a game kind of player, and he wanted to make it in WWE, and it was like a new ball game to him after WCW. But like the Harlem Heat were one of the greatest tag teams of the '90s,
Of
and
course.
he went on to become a five-time WCW champion. Of course, the gimmick was he was a five-time, and then of course he made a big name for himself then in the WWE as time went on.
He did, and he had that King Booker
That's right,
gimmick.
and that really got over with the fans, didn't it?
Yeah, he couldn't forget that gimmick.
No. Now we segue into gimmicks. Now, just as we're speaking about this type of thing, what is your favorite gimmick of all time in wrestling?
Gimmick. Probably the Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Right? You want to give us a wee demonstration of Ric Flair first?
Maybe an overtime here.
Right? Okay. He was in the bar there a while ago. He had a scoop or two. I thought maybe he would be ready to go. Woo!
I'm not at that stage yet.
Well, anyway, we'll move on a wee bit here now, and we can talk a bit about a few rumors about the matches at WrestleMania have come through. I've heard stuff like we talked about Sting there. I've heard there's going to be like a Sting Triple H match, maybe.
Yes. Seems like it's building up
Yeah.
to that now. Personally, I would have had a different opponent for Sting than Triple H.
Right.
Definitely.
We talked about for years this Undertaker Sting showdown,
Yes.
but they seem to be holding off on that.
Well, I think Undertaker seems to be having his personal problems
Right. Okay. Yeah.
going on, and whether or not he'll appear again anytime in the future at the minute is an unknown. But hopefully he'll be at WrestleMania.
Yeah. There has been a rumored match between the Undertaker and Bray Wyatt. What would your thoughts on that be?
I think it would be good.
Yeah.
Their
characters kind of come together well.
Yeah. And Bray Wyatt has that mystique.
Yeah.
Of a character, and it would
work. Absolutely, yeah.
It would work well with the Phenom.
And
I think it would be a great opponent for the Undertaker because he's also a young, uprising star. And
it might be a good way for the Undertaker to pass the torch as that mystique character.
Pass the torch, yes. And I also believe at last year's WrestleMania it should have been Bray Wyatt or another young up and coming star that ended Undertaker's streak. rather than basically hand it to Brock Lesnar.
That's a good point because at the end of the day, Lesnar might be an attraction, and as Vince McMahon says, he's not on TV. Austin asked him why is he never on TV? It's because he's an attraction. But I think at the end of the day, Undertaker, deserved someone to end the streak that was there all the time and not being a kind of a hot shotter like Brock Lesnar.
See, the thing about that was too, that was Undertaker giving back
Mm,
to the business. But the only reason I think that Brock was the man to do it is because he was there at the right place at the right time.
yeah,
I, I wouldn't have been someone I personally would have had to end the streak, but
yeah. Would you as far as other WrestleMania matches, I've heard a rumor of Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler, which could be a potential show stealer.
that sounds like a pretty awesome match. Both of them are very technical
Mm,
in the ring. They have both of them world class ability
definitely, yeah.
in the ring, and I think they would match each other pretty well. And WrestleMania will probably be the best place to do it.
Definitely, yeah, I agree. You could have a match on Raw. Prime example of this would be the likes of Jericho, Shawn Michaels had matches on Raw over the years, and
Yeah,
whereas they met at WrestleMania, it was the biggest, probably the show stealer for WrestleMania 19. You know,
yeah. But any match that HBK had was a show stealer,
aye,
no matter
that's true.
where it was or
Mr. WrestleMania, as they
Mr.
say.
WrestleMania, and the Mr. Anything in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. As far as Fastlane, that's coming up now in the next couple of weeks. Uh, there's going to be a showdown between Triple H and Sting. That'll be interesting. I would say that'll probably set up that match for WrestleMania. The other big thing is, of course, Daniel Bryan and uh, Roman Reigns to find out who fights Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Potential main event there for WrestleMania. What's your opinions on Roman Reigns, and do you think he deserved the Royal Rumble one?
No, I don't. And it seems to be a very touchy subject amongst the WWE universe at the minute.
Yeah,
I don't think he was the right man this time around. I don't think he was ready to be the top man in the company, and I think it's going that way
yeah,
as Brock Lesnar's contract is due to expire, and chances are he's leaving the company once again, so he'll be losing his title at WrestleMania.
yeah,
And I don't think it was Roman Reigns' time. I think it should have been someone else. Daniel Bryan, he was the obvious candidate, but there's other guys
yeah, yeah.
also
I get you. Yeah.
deserved it.
I agree. I think that Reigns has the look. He's
He's got a brilliant look.
Vince McMahon has this real fascination with the big guys and the guys that are kind of well built and stuff and have the look. It also happens to be The Rock's cousin
Yes.
and part of that big Samoan heritage of wrestlers over the years. Yokozuna, Rikishi, the Usos, the likes of Umaga, all the rest. Superfly Snuka. So he has that legacy, and I suppose they'll go with what they know.
Yep, definitely he is a star for the
Mm,
future, but I just don't think this was his time.
uh, yeah, that's true.
And
Uh,
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there would agree with me.
I'm sure there is, and I personally am not very overly passionate about. Oh, I don't think you should, but at the same time, I get where you're coming from, and I think that maybe a year's time it would have been a better idea.
Possibly,
But
possibly.
I think they put stars up there far too quick these days. Back in the day, there was like a slow burning period for the
Yeah,
likes of Savage and Hogan. They
yeah.
didn't be the big star straight away.
Well,